Joe Maddon joins us now. Joe, I just asked Sean Casey, I said, this music for Cup of Joe, do we want hair metal or do we stay with this kind of like country folk thing? Joe, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, buddy. Yeah, it's not nearly radical enough. You're right. Not even.
All right.
He's right.
Sean will add something in there. Joe, great to have you back on.
Same here, buddy. Thank you.
Vlad Guerrero Jr., 14 years, $500 million. Where do you stand on that? Again, they're paying for a star, their own star, but they're paying the top freight to keep a star. Where are you on that as far as winning, as far as franchise building?
They have to. I mean, they're an organization that's tried to get different free agents to come to Canada for the last several years. They missed out on everybody, and now they got this homegrown guy. He's actually a Canadian citizen. He wants to be there for so many different reasons. Plus, he's really good, obviously. He's a young man. He's young enough to get that kind of dough, and I think it can influence other free agents possibly in the future to want to come there, even right down to Bo Bichette. So I thought it was a no-brainer for them to have to do this, because otherwise, where do they get the free agents from? And they have this guy right there in their backyard.
Yeah, I'll say this. Like, he's their own guy. Because, look, on the whole, I don't like long-term deals, top money. I want to spread the wealth among more players. However, there is something in this day and age in the new media environment to having Bryce Harper in the Phillies, Manny Machado in the Padres, Aaron Judge and the Yankees, right? Shohei Ohtani and the whole traveling circus. I guess there is something no, your boots on the ground managing to win, but there is something to, we're in show business, right? Is there how much of that do you try to play into it?
So I love the idea of spreading the wealth and getting more players. I like that idea a lot, but I think he can actually attract. So I am one to spread the wealth, but I think he is the kind of guy, the kind of star. And plus, I think he's going to be really motivated. I think you're going to see the best out of him right now. The fact that they've stepped forward, gave him this kind of money. I know his dad's a big influence on him. Also, he's going to talk to him. I just think this is a win-win situation right now. I think the Blue Jays are going to benefit. Vlad will benefit. And, of course, Canada's going to benefit. Toronto's going to benefit. It's going to make them a more viable franchise. They've been trying to get to the next level. They just can't quite get there. I think this is the kind of move that possibly can make that happen.
Okay. All right. Big in favor. I didn't see that coming. All right. You don't see this very often. I like a little truth now and then. Brandon Hyde, manager of the Orioles, called out Tyler O'Neill, his right fielder, and said after a game, that's the third time he's thrown to the wrong base this season. You don't hear managers say that about their own guy and a new guy. What do you think of that?
I like it, actually. I mean, I like Hyder a lot. He's a fundamentalist. I think that needs to happen more often, quite frankly. Now, I'm not one to criticize publicly. I've always said praise publicly, criticize privately, but maybe it got to the point where you just had to say something. Coaches in general on the big league level, and especially in the minor leagues, have to stay on top of this stuff daily. You can't let it slide. I think this is part of the culture today. Moments like that slide. Guys aren't held accountable to that moment and eventually get an epidemic of it. So I like the fact that Hyder did it. Hopefully more guys will do the same.
You know, it's funny. Right. That is this day and age. And it's not just us complaining about, oh, these kids today. But you'll see a lot more of it where it's like, I think Brian Snicker called out a player one time and people are like, oh, no, how's the player going to react? It's like, we're grown men. Like, you can take a little bit of criticism. All right, I want to get to this, though. Rocco Baldelli thrown out last night. Twins, Royals, weird play. We're going to watch it here. Simeon Woods Richardson called for a pitch clock violation. Now, he said, he's like, hey, I can't hear, like, the pitch comms. I can't hear it. And then he tries to get in and say, oh, no, I want to throw the pitch now. And he got called for the violation. Baldelli came out to argue, then got tossed out. This whole thing is weird, though. Joe, give me your read on this.
Yeah, I was confused when I saw the whole thing. I thought the moment he steps off the rubber, that, of course, everything would stop, the clock would reset, et cetera. And I think he gave enough of an indication that there was something wrong with the headset. So, to me, that was something that you discussed. That's like a do-over situation. The umpires get together, understand that this is an unusual situation. His intent was not to deceive the hitter, I don't think.
Right,
he was
it didn't look that way. Right.
No, not at all. So I think this is, remember back in the day, Joe Brinkman called the do-over one time, and I never heard about it before. But there's a situation where if it becomes completely convoluted, I think they can. I would see. I would like to see the guys get together, the umps get together, and talk about this. And I think eventually just reset it and let's do it over again. You know what?
We do a thing called up to no good, and you can tell a lot by a player's intent by their body language. Simeon Woods Richardson there, his body language all said was honest. Like, his catcher even goes, come on, let's go. And he's like, all right, let me reset and try to pitch before I lose the clock here. So, but Baldelli exactly lost it. Like Nick Lentz was the home plate umpire, and he was like, keep going, all right.
I love that. I mean, listen, I know Rocco really well. Rocco played for. I love Rocco. One of the more intellectual managers in the game of baseball. It takes a lot to get Rocco to that point.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. He's got a bit of a temper. I've seen that. I want to get you weigh in on this. Pittsburgh put O'Neill Cruz into center field, shortstop into center. You've even talked about that on the show a year or two ago. Joe, it does not look good. And I'm sorry. He looks. I'm just going to say he looks. And maybe it's just a bad look. He looks like he doesn't care. He's missing cutoff men. The ball will get by him, and he lets guys get the ball for him. What is your read on this situation?
Well, first of all, I'll defend that he doesn't care. I don't think it's not that he doesn't care. I really have a hard time pointing that out to an athlete. Sometimes really great athletes look relatively easy when they do things on a baseball field or whatever. He's just very, very smooth. I'll defend that. The other part, he just needs more information. He's losing them games right now just by not like that play right there, miscommunication. A lot of it's miscommunication. A lot of it's lack of technique. He just doesn't know. This requires more time. The fact that he's just stepping out there, major league situation, he doesn't have a real good idea of what to do with the ball once he gets it up. It's technique, it's information. Slow it down from a little bit, but I definitely will defend the fact I believe the kid does care. It's
well,
just
that
a little
play,
bit
Joe,
fast
that's
for
what
him.
I'm saying. Like that's at the very least, don't you tell the guy, hey, that's a bad look. We know that your right fielder was going to get the ball anyway, but when you put your head down and just get, it's a bad look at the very least.
Of course it is. And listen, I've been in this situation, quite frankly, where I had a situation when I talked to a player and I felt I misread it. I thought that maybe he did appear to not care. And I've been around it a couple times. And it got to the point we had a great conversation. And eventually I apologized to the player. But I didn't apologize for the fact that what he was doing was wrong in the sense that technique, got after the ball better, make a better, what appears to be a better effort, whatever. But I never, it's hard to really, when you have a world-class athlete like this kid, to challenge his heart is very difficult to do.
All right. Again, it's becoming a thing, but I'm glad. That's good perspective on that. Good stuff, Joe. We'll work on the music. Sean's got a few ideas.
Ramble On, baby. Ramble On by Led Zeppelin. Let's do it.
that's gonna. Led Zeppelin's a little too hot. It costs a little bit.
I was just going to say, I know it costs money, but it's the perfect song.
Oh, sure. All right. We'll think
Ramble
about it.
On.
All right.
Ramble On, baby.
Thank you, Joe.
See you, man. Thank you.
This is Zach Veen. This is the position player they've been waiting for. Now, remember, they've already got Tovar playing as short. He's 23 years old, and he's a Gold Glove shortstop, right? They've already got Doyle in center field, Platinum Glove winner in center field. They're putting the young pieces together. All they're missing is an ace. They need that win day guy. But did they get it with Chase Dollander?
Yeah, they may have. They drafted a guy in 2023, number 9 overall, out of Tennessee, Chase Dollander. I'm going to tell you something. It's tough to pitch in that ballpark. I get it. And it's a ballpark that a lot of young pitchers go, and they struggle with some success. Made his debut this past Sunday. I really liked what I saw. Mound presence, really good body. More importantly, I love the package of pitches that he has. The guy looks like a guy that's like, I know Bud Black, very high on him coming into spring training. Very calm demeanor on the mound. Good explosive fastball, which isn't an easy thing to do, to be able to use that fastball. Now, you see a lot of guys, when they go and they pitch a course field, ball doesn't tend to break as much, your breaking ball won't be as sharp. Has a couple of different variations. It's almost like a slur of a cutter, dreaded equalizer, the straight changeup. So you look at the package of pitches, has enough heat, and I look at his delivery, and it reminds me of Jacob deGrom. Different body type. He's a little bit heavier, but if you watch at the end of delivery, it is eerily similar to Jacob deGrom. Now, we're talking about a comp about mechanics and delivery and who he reminds me of. He's probably a long way from being Jacob deGrom, but the similarities are eerie. And what I really like about him, you see a lot of guys that are hard throwers. And one of the things I like about Dollander is you'll see guys that are 95, 96, particularly young pitchers, when they come out of college, they're chasing two things. They're chasing velocity and they're chasing spin. And you'll see a lot of right-handed pitchers that are trying to overthrow and overextend. They'll fall off towards first base. You'll see that head and the shoulders come along with it. He does a really good job with that nice, clean delivery that he has of keeping his chin and his chest on target for a long time. Listen, you're always going to fall a little bit this way because if you're going to throw 95 to 100 miles an hour, there's some effort that comes involved. But what I really like, Greg, he takes the chin, he takes his chest, and he's on line to the target till that ball gets rid of his hand and he lets it go. And another thing I like, he finishes.
I was about to ask you about that because that's your favorite part of DeGrom's game.
It is, and that's why DeGrom is around the strike zone as often as he is, because his body and his body line keeps him on line to keep him from being erratic. The first thing that goes, if your chin violently pulls towards first base, it's going to pull your shoulders that way, and it's going to pull your entire upper body. You're going to be falling towards the first base dugout and trying to throw off to the right. So it's so important, and it's a hard thing to do, to keep the chin and your chest on line as long as you can till you release that ball. And another thing that Dollander does really well, he finishes his pitches. He doesn't cut it off. He gets a lot of extension. He uses his entire body. There's lots to like about this guy. I'm hoping that he can keep those mechanics, keep positive, a tough ballpark to pitch in. But the Rockies are building on something. And if they're going to be good, they're going to need him to step up. They're going to need him to be a guy. Before the injuries to Jonathan Gray, there was so much hope for Jonathan Gray. This guy has a chance to be a special pitcher.
Bud Black thinks they've got their ace. That's how talented Chase Dollander is, and he's got the same repertoire as Jacob deGrom.